coffee and today's guest here with me, so we're ready to roll. Welcome to the Circular Coffee Break podcast, where we will be casually talking about everything circular and beyond. Like always, we hope the podcast is interesting, insightful, and provides new perspectives for all of you. But if you have ideas, feedback, or suggestions on what we should do differently or who we should invite, please leave a comment in your favorite podcasting platform or drop us a note at circularcoffeebreak@gmail.com. I think I mentioned it in the last episode. We now also have a webpage, circularcoffeebreak.com. So that's the place where you will find all past episodes, some information, and so on. And we also now have a Circular Coffee Break LinkedIn page where you will see posts on our guests, what our guests are up to, as well as all our episodes. So follow us on all of these different platforms, and we will make sure you're up to date on everything that's happening in the Circular Coffee Break hemisphere. Good. I'm really excited about my guest today. My guest today is a senior lecturer and RDI expert in digitalization and circular economy. She started off her career in Iran at Babol Cooperative Bank, where she held the role of Chief Executive Officer. In 2018, she started as a researcher at La Penranta University of Technology and is today a lecturer on digitalization and circular economy at Lab University of Applied Sciences in La Penranta. She holds a bachelor's degree in industrial engineering from the Mazandaran University of Science and Technology, and I'll ask her to pronounce that properly later on. Sorry for butchering that. And a master's degree from Lund University in Global Management of Innovation and Technology. Currently, she's completing her PhD at Lund University with a focus on the role of artificial intelligence, AI, in the transition towards a circular world. And we discussed briefly before we pressed the record button, she has handed in her PhD thesis. So from that point of view, it's not completing, but I think it's already one step beyond that. So congratulations on that. I'm really looking forward to talking about circularity in education, as well as the interlinkage between digitalization and circular economy in today's episodes in the research context and beyond. Welcome to the show, Malahat Ghoreishi.
Thank you so much, Michael. Thanks for having me today. Thanks for the great introduction. So yeah, you pronounce it quite good. I think it's not an easy word. Let's say I studied at my bachelor's Mazandaran University, so quite really good. Thank you, Michael.
Good.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm so happy to be here today. We had many discussions before also together. We know each other, I think, more than 5 years. Or since I started actually my research in the field, I think you were the main person who first I met in the field because of these you organized. And it was very interesting for me because we couldn't even find this kind of events which were free. And you kind of tried to join like universities and researchers to companies. And it was really interesting for me, especially in my, just the beginning of my career as a researcher, and I was lost a lot. So I could have access to many companies, and I know you from really that time, and it was really interesting. But thanks again for having me today, Michael. Very excited to be here, and there are so many things to discuss as well, of course.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely. And you're referring to the Digitally Circular event series.
Yes.
It's great to hear that it actually really worked as a platform as we intended it, to bring together researchers, companies, students, startups, and all of that in this space, as it basically was very often the case that the digital people were not even in the same building with the sustainability and circularity experts, and the business people were not even in the same geography, so to say.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. Definitely, that's the case. And I think from my point of view, as far as I was a student, and I didn't know, for example, as a foreigner, I didn't know that companies very well, for example, to do my research and so on. I was starting my research. So it was really good time and good thing for me that, okay, there is these options and opportunities that I get to know. And I got to know many people from companies from your events and got to collaborate with them and networking. So thank you very much for this effort, for putting this effort also.
Perfect. No, absolutely. More than happy. I had the same experience. So now you have been building on what you just said. You have been involved in circularity and more specifically the intersection between digital and circularity from a research and teaching perspective for the past 5+ years. In your experience, now, what is the current state when it comes to research around circularity? Do you think the research and the research organizations are focusing on the right topic? Are we on top of the game when it comes to specifically that intersection?
Yeah, thanks for this question. I think this is really important discussion to start actually with the whole topic of circular economy, let's say. So I think, first of all, let's talk about the whole concept of circular economy. So we talk about this concept very much. It's very, let's say, a buzzword. Let's say everybody is talking about, the world is talking about it. It's a very hot topic. But one thing that I still think still in research or in industry point of view, company level point of view, which is a little bit missing, there is this broad topic that we are talking. So it is not well unified. Let's say that a united definition in research, because everybody can see it from different perspective. If we have this, let's say, one definition, of course, that we use from Ellen MacArthur Foundation as a main concept, but it's still very broad. There is this whole butterfly as a technical and biological that we use it. But I think the more narrowed and focused definition is still missing. And specifically, when we are talking about the definition of what does it mean actually, the circular economy, for example, in each company, because I think that according to the research and maybe the experience that I have, my own experience, let's say, it's my idea, is that because companies, they can see it in a different way. And this was the first thing maybe I learned during my first research also, that for my first research, I chose like 3 different companies because they were very interesting. They were huge companies in Finland. 2 were manufacturing, one electronic company, the other one lifting company, and the third one was food industry. So I chose them to do the research on. And yet I think at the end, I realized that this was the wrong choice because they had very different perspective what circular economy is. So there I realized that, okay, still we talk about the same thing, right? We talk about this Ellen MacArthur, a systematic change. But then again, what does it mean in each company? So there is not a quite clarified concept. Everybody can see it in different point, and that's what is happening also in research. So different companies can see it in different point of view. That okay, we see it in our country, in our company. For example, circular economy means this, which is right. It's not wrong. But then again, there is not a unified or united, like we don't agree maybe with each other also. And in some point, it's also makes challenges to understand each other also, that what you mean, okay, well, it makes sense, but not quite for our industry or our company. So that also brings challenges also when you want to integrate like kind of, let's say, digital technologies then, or you want to combine these, again, 2 topics. But for example, this huge butterfly that we have, it has different strategies, it has different, let's say, implementation, there's different solutions. So it means different also, and you know it better than me for sure. It means different. But there is also, I think, there is the lack of guidelines still, that what should companies follow to be circular. There is a lack of frameworks, there is a lack of tools that where to start actually. Where shall we start to be circular? Like, okay, we change this, we change our business models, we change our strategies. Who are the people we need? That is also very challenging. The other point that I think, because I was a researcher in business department, let's say in business world, so, for example, for a technical point of view or for biological point of view, it's easy because it's easier. Let's say not easy, but easier than business point of view, because it's kind of like, okay, clear. So we have to, for example, design this product. We are designing it in this way, but it's not circular because of this reason. It can't be disassembled. It can't be remanufactured or so on. So that is the technical or engineering point of view. But how about business point of view? So in business point of view, we still, as researchers, I think we still have this lack of understanding what it means in organizational level to be circular. Do our stakeholders really understand what we are talking about? And what are their perspectives? What are their engagements in circular economy? What is the business ecosystem as such for circular economy? These are very much missing, really much missing from this research point of view in organizational level and business point of view. So, of course, the main important thing for any business is that the profit, and how these circular economy solutions do they make more revenue for them rather than just going linear, and why do they have to change it? So the research still has the lack there in that point of view, from organizational level point of view, what circular economy means. What does it mean to have the systematic change in organizational level? Do we understand that or not? What does it mean by a business ecosystem? So business ecosystem they have, it's kind of like clear, but I think me and you, we discussed about it also in other sessions, like in other kind of like, I think it was in digitally circular event, and I asked one of the representative, I think, from a company, one of the speakers, I asked, what does it mean by business ecosystem? What does it mean by circular ecosystem? Could you clarify it? But I still think that they can't do it.
Yeah, I think traditionally it was standard setting bodies, the regulators, or then researchers that put forward a common vocabulary. But in circularity, it seems we have not reached that point. We speak about the topic very differently depending on your role, function, industry, and company. Now, the transition to a circular world is basically a systemic change, as you also said. So you have a lot of very different stakeholders involved that need to communicate and collaborate with each other. What do you feel is the role of universities and research institutes going forward in establishing the base and basically enabling this massive change that we're looking at?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question, because what I have observed also during these years, also as a lecturer or like say educator or researcher. So I think we shouldn't start this circular economy, let's say, or sustainability point of view, let's say. From my perspective, it's a habit. So it should be sustainability or sustainable like solutions or behavior. It starts from a habit that we all should understand. Why is it important? So we as consumers point of view, our behavior, it affects a lot, in this transition towards circular economy. Then we need education, but we cannot start educating people when they are like entering university level, when they build already the old habits when they are 20 years old or when they are older and they know the concept of circular economy or sustainability or asset like that. So I think that this education for circular economy, for sustainable, it should start from really, really earlier, like even like childhood or something, we should first, as consumers, as humans, like we don't have to put everything on the whole shoulder of like companies, but we should start and change our habits also, our daily everyday life choices, which affects, of course. So from very much overconsumption perspective, to change it to minimalism, so we don't need this. Do you really need this much of consumption, of buying or purchasing these products, or could you just use a second hand or whatever? This is also that what one thing that I saw also from the now these new generations, that they have access to social media. They think that every day, because they are putting on their head that, okay, when you dress up differently, for example, every day, it's so cool, or you have to behave, or overconsumption is very cool. You just have to buy different, for example, mobile phones every day, every time that it comes the new version in the market, you just have to change it or whatever, which is totally wrong. But these are the things that of course affects. But on the other side, of course, I think we discussed it also once. We need a more closer collaboration. We have to make this bridge and make it closer collaboration with university level and the companies, because we as educators, first of all, we have to understand what companies want when they are changing all this, or they have this systematic change towards circular economy. So we have to understand what they need, or what kind of skills they need, so that we can also educate more skilled people, relevant and suitable for that specific company. And when they are there, they can be useful. So I think there is this need also. And of course, university has a big role. But as all of us know, this whole transition, or let's say moving towards circular economy or sustainability, it's not a one company's work. Like, it should be hand in hand with everything. And we are also, universities are also stakeholders. We as individual consumers, we are also stakeholders. We can be seen in this whole ecosystem that we are talking, which is very important. So we are also stakeholder, like actors of this big, huge ecosystem. So it's very important to go hand in hand. And universities have big roles, because they have to educate, and schools. I think it should start from school level, and we have it nowadays. For example, Lutz University has built this junior university, when they are also promoting and teaching. And there are some companies that I saw that at least they have some. It was this. I'm not sure of the name. I'm not good. Sorry, but I think they have this in milk product. They build this on the packages, so that the kids could, for example, scan the barcodes, and they could follow that. Okay, what environmental impacts it has, or in a very kind of childish education point of view, as a cartoon or something that they could learn. But these are very important, I think, and closer collaboration with companies. University is very important, because we have to know what is going on in companies. They should also build they should also give this information that, okay, what kind of people they need in their company because of this change. So who is needed more, and who could have a bigger role? But we have to make these and change these strategies all together, hand in hand, all together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, you're spot on with what you're saying. In university, but even earlier in school, we teach the next generation of leaders, of business people, of engineers, of all of the people that in the workforce will basically operate our businesses, operate our factories.
Yes.
And if we basically embed the circular thinking, the sustainable thinking very early on in the education, then that will reflect in decisions later on in the work life. I mean, if you learn in university about business cases, and all business cases are production growth driven, then naturally that will be the first thing you think of if you're actually sitting in the chair at the desk and you need to think about how you grow the revenue of your company. If that's different, then you might think about other different models, reuse, refurbish, and rental business models.
Exactly. And actually, one project that we are involved in, I really like it. It's this, these Horizon 22 projects,
Yep.
European projects. So we are involved in one of them, and it's very interesting because they now require us to write a paper. So as university, we always write these publications, research, and so on. So they require us to write the paper, make it short. Like we published one paper, for example, about circularity, let's say in electronic sector, and we discuss about recycling, remanufacturing, somehow about this kind of stuff. So we have to write a summary of that paper in 2-3 pages, make it very short, and then because when we write these papers, we have the reviewers, which are experts, of course, and they give their feedbacks. As our reviewers, we have to send it to the high school students. So
cool.
this is, I think this is very interesting. I have never done that. And it actually made me think, how should I write it so that they will understand what I'm talking about? So they ask us to summarize these papers, and we have to send it to them. They review and they give us feedback about it.
Cool.
I think it's very interesting. I have never done that. And actually, it makes me a little bit stressed because then I don't know. But I think this is cool because we have to also understand that we are not only talking to, high level or scientific level, but we have to write in a way or we have to explain in a way that these younger people should understand and should understand what is the benefit, what is the value for them.
Absolutely. No, I fully agree. I think it makes it much more accessible and gets across the message to the people that most likely you could argue are the most important target audience of the research you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, it was a little bit of surprise and a shock for everybody in the team. We were like, what? Like, why should we ask like these teenagers, like high school students, like, how would we write? Like, I don't know. They don't know about like referencing, citation, or like, is the topic is familiar with them? Like we were talking about, they were like, okay, we don't know how you're managing this, but you have to do that.
I like that. I really like that.
I was like, we expect you to write it in a way that they will understand, first of all, and they should provide feedback and comments to your work. I was like, okay, let's see.
Cool.
But we can discuss about it when I get the feedbacks and we are done with it. I can discuss with you.
Yeah, let's come back on one of the future episodes. I'm really eager to hear that because we're so often talking about this out of the box thinking that's required to make research more accessible, to basically bring also the younger generation closer to the research and make sure that they understand. Because I think a lot of the skepticism towards research and researchers is partially due to the fact that people just don't understand what researchers are talking about. So if you make that accessible, that's naturally a major step.
Yeah, I think this is a very good step to start. Also for us, I was thinking of myself also how to make it more like more simple and understandable for others also. So you write it, but it's like, okay, like 10 pages, of course, it's like a lot of effort also for a researcher to do that. It's not easy, but then how you make it more simplified, let's say, how can you make it more simple to others, like to the common society to understand it? And so like really interesting also, I think.
Cool. Let's shift gears a little bit, maybe.
Okay.
And talk about the role of digital technology in the transition to circularity. In the context of your PhD thesis, in the context of your research, as well as your teaching, you've been looking a lot into that intersection between digital and circularity. What role, from your experience, do you think technology can play, and how can we basically enable technology to drive innovation, or how can we use technology as an enabler to drive innovation that enables circularity from your experience?
So that is a very good question. As you know, this is like very close to my heart. I have been researching on this topic, discussing about this topic, and also like teaching. And it has, I think, in all the steps, it all had the different challenges. Like when you do the research, it has its own challenges. When you're teaching it again, you're like, okay, where are we with these digital technologies? That it's very interesting. Everybody is talking about it, but where are we now with this technology? Because I think ChatGPT bringing this ChatGPT thing and AI thing, it showed us that what we expected maybe in 10 years, it just happened right. Really, it's closer than what we thought about. It's because this was the thing that we could expect like at least 5 to 6 years later but it just happened like, okay, we are here already. So yeah, but about the digital technology, so I can talk about, of course, the main technologies that was closer to my research. Like, of course, I have been focusing on AI, artificial intelligence, but of course, I had this collaboration, or during the research, we saw the role of IoT, Internet of Things, the Internet of Things, or blockchains, or somehow 3D printings, also additive manufacturing, also in circular economy, because they have different roles, let's say. They are very interesting, and I discuss also where we are now. But from artificial intelligence point of view, because of course now we know about it, so it is important to analyze data. For example, for companies, we live in a world full of data nowadays, and data is very important. And we talk about, when we start talking about these technologies as such, let's say, this data is actually the link when it comes to circular economy, the intersection, and that is what I discuss also in my research and PhD. So data is actually the intersection when these two, circular economy and digital technologies as Industry 4.0 technologies, they come together, and they actually needed, like, because these Industry 4.0 technologies such as AI, IoT, or blockchain, they have these capabilities of dealing with this data thing, which collecting these data things, for example, IoT with sensors, or then when we want to analyze this data, there is this AI, and then blockchain, for example, it keeps the safe environment to keep the data, or ensures that this data is safe and not accessible for everybody or whatever, so that companies, if they are sharing, also it's a safe area and they can trust each other. It makes it more reliable, let's say. But also, when it comes to these technologies, it also, when we discuss about, I want to show you that how everything is related to each other. So we talked about business ecosystem. They have to be more open together. They have to make more partnership so that they can make this circularity happen, for example. Then, of course, for sharing this data, then we need these technologies to share the data, to track the whole supply chain, which is really huge and which is very important for us. We want to know where this product comes from, let's say. From the beginning point of circularity, it's product design. I have discussed about it a lot, and I'm still there. And I think there is much more research needed in product design point of view in circular economy, because many people think that circular economy is about recycling. And no, this is the last point. It's not about recycling, but the start point actually is designing. So we want to know where this material comes from, what actually this product is made of, and so on. So data starts from there, exactly. So we want to keep that data from the whole supply chain, and then we build this product, and then we share this product, we sell this product. Who goes, who has this product, where it goes? Like we have the manufacturing company in one country, and then they sell the product worldwide. So we want to track the whole supply chain until the product ends of life. So who are our customers, and how many times they can reuse this product, because we want to extend the life cycle of the product. We don't want it to end up to the land so easily. We don't want that recycling. We want to postpone the recycling as well. Recycling is not very much efficient, but it's the last solution, let's say. But
Yeah.
during this whole supply chain, during this whole process, there are so many other solutions. And of course, there is so much data happening and a huge volume of data in hand, which could be really useful for companies and to build the new solutions, to build the new business models. So there comes the role of these Industry 4.0 technologies as such, to gather the data, collect the data through IoT sensors, and then analyze this data is very important, of course, because then we need AI, which is capable of that. And then we need this blockchain. But these are the holistic point of view. Of course, I don't want to go very much in detail, but this is the holistic point of view. We have this huge supply chain and we need to track it so that we are perfectly achieving, but we cannot be perfect, but still it can help us to better achieve the circularity goals that we have. So, if you want to know, for example, if your product is remanufactured or reusable or any kind of things, like for the characteristic of that specific product, of course, you have to track the life cycle of that product also, especially when it comes to the huge products, like, for example, a laundry machine, or even bigger, like, these lifting products. So, for example, these are very important point of view. So going there to the site and doing this maintenance service, which is not needed, for example. So it's costly, it's not environmental friendly, and they require require many transportation, which also creates CO2 and so on. But using the sensors, for example, that is what one company is doing, and you know that. But anyway, it's repetitive for you. But there's that they have these IoT sensors that they can collect, and it shows them the data about the condition of that lifting machines and so on. But they can remotely observe and control it, and then they will know the breakout times and breakdown times and when the failure is coming to prevent it. So we want to prevent these failures. We want to prevent the reuse, let's say, extracting the materials which is not needed.
No, absolutely, and I think what you're saying is absolutely right. It's basically to look at the technology in the context of the operations, not just at where can we use digital in the circularity context, but look at your supply chain, look at your value chain, even beyond the supply chain.
Yes.
And I think there's currently a lot of EU level initiatives on digital passports for textile and for electronics and so on.
Yes.
That are basically aiming exactly for that.
Yes, but still it's very challenging because it's still it's really not new, but still we are just in the start point of using these technologies. For the companies which are, for example, well established, especially for big companies, then there is this discussion and the need for entrepreneurs. So now we see that we need more startups, because the change for companies, for example, to have these solutions, it's a manufacturing company which is built very well established for many years, is working. It's very difficult to come up with these solutions that, okay, what do we need to do, for example, with our surpluses, or what do we need to do to go circular? But then there is these startups who come use these digital technologies, and then they give them the solutions to kind of maybe connect them with other partners, connect them with more consumers, or bringing more solutions that it would be difficult. So that is the role of digital platforms. We have many startups which are actually integrating these digital platforms as their solutions, and it's really interesting, I think, in food industry, for example, as you know, and other industries. So
absolutely. Good. The coffee is empty, and it's unfortunately time to wrap up this episode of the Circular Coffee Break. Thanks a lot, Malahat, for joining me today. I could have discussed for another half hour without any problem. So let's see if you're able to join back in a future episode, and we take it from here.
Thank you, Michael, for this great discussion, for inviting me, having me today.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you. Great. To all you out there, we definitely hope that today's episode was inspiring, gave you some new ideas, some new thoughts. If you have any comments, ideas, or suggestions, please let us know by leaving a comment either on your favorite podcasting platform or just drop us a note at circularcoffeebreak@gmail.com. Also, remember to subscribe to the Circular Coffee Break LinkedIn page, where we will basically be publishing new episodes on a bi-weekly basis. And I can tell you, we have a couple of very interesting guests also coming up in the future. So it's definitely worth staying tuned to also hear those perspectives on circularity and different aspects of it. With that, I'm looking forward to seeing all of you here on the Circular Coffee.